Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Thank y'all, everybody, for rocking with us as we progress throughout the show. We want to thank our sister Lyric for being here with us for the first half of the show. We've been playing her songs. We played her new single, My Way, which is coming out on the EP next month. Date to be determined. Shout out to her from Tappahannock, Virginia. She's a singer. She's a songwriter. We also played her tracks Let's Freak, It's All Right, and Let's Get Gone. So we definitely want to thank her for being with us on the show. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Call us, be down with us at 804-402-2893. That's the number to dial to be a part of tonight's discussion. We've been talking about a whole lot. I want to get some of the comments in from our people in social media. I see you, brother Hakeem, and I see you, Dub. I'm gonna get y'all comments in here. Comment from K-Dub first. K-Dub says, we've been blue all the time. When they get in office, they forget about us. Evandra, we've been blue all the time. When they get in office, they forget about us. To that, you say what?
Yeah, I would totally agree with you. But the reason why they forget about us is because we don't hold black leadership accountable, who people look to answer things for us. And so the black community has no black leadership. And so they can't keep us in mind and thought if we don't push the pressure on them and keep them accountable. And we got conversations being had about our status, our well-being, our community without anyone in that room that looks like us. We're just not doing a good job as a community to create leaders and to put people in positions behind closed doors where those conversations need to be had.
Right. And I asked that with Marcus J. Evangel, keeping you on the mic. Hakeem says, go Hillary. It is wrong to connect her with Bill. The policy that Bill was invested in was the policy of the day amongst the most. Check Hillary's record as a lawyer working for civil rights, education rights, children's rights, women's rights, all before they were famous.
Hakeem, I just have one thing I would like for you to do. I want you to see the amount of money that the prison industrial complex lobbyists have given to Hillary Clinton's campaign in 2016, and then you come back to me and let me know how can I not tie her to the situation. And it was about $290,000 so far. So that what you just said makes no sense to me. I'm sorry.
What about the situation that went on in Mena, Arkansas? I got issues with Mena. Knowing the connection with the Bushes and the drugs and the Iran-Contras and all of that kind of stuff and the deals that were made that allowed and I say the Clintons, I mean, the reality is most folks are going to connect Bill and Hillary to each other, not only because they're married, but because they are a team. And so when I look at what went on in Mena, Arkansas, the fact that they could be so callous as to make a deal that would allow people to come into their state as he's the governor, where they're trafficking basically guns and drugs into their state. For those folks who are listening to us right now, or listening to me right now going, what the hell is he talking about? Look it up. Look it up for yourself. Look up Mena, Arkansas. Just Google it. We may not have time for you now if you've not looked into it. But if you've looked into it, let's talk about it. If you've not looked into it, look into it, and we can talk about it on the latest show. Ashley, what you think?
And I also have issue with people who use situational equality. I mean, every time that I've seen Hillary Clinton do anything with a black person, she's eating barbecue chicken or coming to a dinner with us or something like that. Doing those things, but when it comes to black issues, she uses a phrase like, "Well, nobody asked me to say I'm sorry." Okay, exactly. Or she just flat out lies. Like, these are things that I have taken it back to what she said before. Like, I would rather somebody be blatant racist so I know how to maneuver around than for you to say that you're my friend and end up stabbing me in the back. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Big Rube, I want you to jump in here, man, because you've been kind of quiet. You've been hearing a lot going on. I want you to jump in and kind of offer your wise counsel with regards to
wise counsel. Sickly air.
I said that to be nice, but I said that only to be nice. But because you're Big Rube, I guess I ought to give you some respect. But love you, brother. Anyway, jump in here, man. What's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, first of all, Yeah, I was a little quiet. I wanted to survey the land, kind of see what I'm dealing with before I speak, because the last thing I want to do is speak out of turn without kind of having an idea of what's going on. I guess, back in the day, when our current president was running, we did a lot of extensive shows on just elections and the intelligence of the voters and things of that such. And there is a very big correlation between the voters in the South and the voters everywhere else as far as intelligence level and things of that such. Most of I couldn't give you a number, and I don't think it's fair for me to try to lie, but, when he was elected, Obama was elected, the majority of the people who voted for him had, at the very least, some college or higher as far as intelligence level, as far as voting. Those who didn't vote for him, which are prominently in the red states down south, either had just a high school diploma or didn't finish high school. And that was, we had numbers and we did a lot of research on that. And, that kind of explained why Virginia went blue two terms in a row, because before that, Virginia never really went blue. And each time, I think I said it earlier, each time Virginia went blue, Obama became president immediately. Mm-hmm. Just because of the intelligence in the state of Virginia, the black vote and the white vote. It's because realistically, Virginia is a red state. We've always been a red state. However, we're one of those states that are legitimately a red state, but we have had our Democratic blue governors, either one term apiece or whatever. So we're a weird state like that.
The state legislature is like 60-30. Yeah,
it's a little crazy in Virginia. So I try when I look at stuff, I try not to look at Virginia in that, because we're just weird. I do have a couple comments to a lot of things I've heard, though. Well, first of all, and I want to, I got to take it back to 8th grade civics. And I think the biggest problem is that, and I need for y'all to give me a little space here. The presidency at this point in time in our country is like Valentine's Day.
Explain.
Valentine's Day was a day that was created by Hallmark. And it wasn't a day that we need to celebrate or we even have to celebrate. It was a day created by a corporation so they can make more money, or different corporations can make more money at a time.
That's false, but
well, okay, and just my opinion. But and I feel like Super Tuesday is important, so we know what we're dealing with. But when it's all said and done, the race for the presidency comes down to this: the president is the figurehead of the United States of America, who has very little power. The problem is that the biggest problem that we have is Congress. Yeah. Our Congress is where the problem is. Right. You can sit here, you could talk about president or whatever, but it's set up to have checks and balances. Normally, when you have a Democratic president, you have a Republican Congress, and vice versa. So, I get it, and I understand why everybody is really hell bent on who we should pick and stuff like that. But when it comes down to it, it's very rare that you have a full 4-term same color as in Congress and in president.
But I'm going to stop you there, because when we had that, when Barack Hussein Obama was elected president, you had the Democratic Senate, you had the Democratic...
Not for 4 years.
He
had it for 2.
He had it for 2. That's what I said. I said 4 years.
I got you on that. But then they didn't even work with him. They didn't work with him.
Exactly.
They didn't work with him as the Senate and the House, and we didn't work with him as the people by going to the polls and voting for the people who would support the person who we just put in the White House.
Another problem that people don't know about is that President Obama and the Congressional Black Caucus did not have a favorable relationship. And people do not think about that, but the Congressional Black Caucus did not associate with President Obama like that.
But that also goes to what you spoke of earlier, as in our leaders are flawed considerably. And, the times where you thought that Jesse Jackson and even to a small point Al Sharpton, they were strong at one time, but then once you found out their faults, we completely dismissed them and let that one fault pretty much say, oh, you're not good enough to lead us. And we still have not found, in my opinion, we have not found a suitable quote-unquote leader for the black community.
Okay.
So in that,
Okay.
go ahead.
Just for the record, black people are not African Americans, Negroes in America. We're not all monolithic. I don't.
We don't need one black leader.
And that's probably to your point why we don't have one, figurehead. And I agree with you to a point in regards to the presidency. And I think it's just the politics that we live in this day. It is almost sort of like the Queen of England or something. Like he's a figurehead, but if he doesn't have a Congress that works with him and Congress is dysfunctional, then pretty much we're going to be in this same stalemate state for the next 4 years or the next 8 years if the president now gets reelected. To the point of the congressional elections, it's the numbers don't lie, the figures don't lie. The Democratic Party has a hard time getting people out during midterm elections. I personally don't know why. Maybe because I'm more politically inclined, so I'm paying attention to a lot of things. But once Barack got in 08, 2010, you didn't hear all of these commercials on the black radio stations. You didn't see all of these commercials on the political ads. You didn't see him coming to Byrd Park gathering. He tried to campaign for Democratic congressmen and Democratic senators, but the mood of the country, meaning AKA white people of the country, saw that they actually elected a black man or a half-black man to be the president, and they was like, hold on, this ain't right. That's how we got the Tea Party movement.
Yep.
That's how we got Donald Trump. So if anybody has anything to complain about the political situation, we as actual American voters are the ones to blame because we don't go out and vote, whether it's every 4 years or every two.
No, it's the low informed voters because we got people that are voting that are just don't have any education on why they are doing it. So it's not just the American people. We got to get the people that are actually voting. I know people don't like Thomas Jefferson, but he said it best that we cannot have a democracy if your populace is not informed and educated. You just can't have a real.
Now we sound like Jim Crow.
I was going to say, the only problem that I have with that is you got a lot of people on the right who say that, and they will disenfranchise voters. I don't know that I want to. I mean, it's a slippery slope. Like you should
have to take a test to vote. I'm sorry. Go back to the grandfather clause, the poll tax, or something.
Yeah, but that's right up there. Well, poll
but that's
tax,
close to
tax.
Trump.
I mean, but that's right up there. That's right up there.
I see where you're coming from.
But that's right up there with how many bubbles are in this jar. Like,
right.
do you really want to do that?
We should have to do something. People
but if you're
going to
do that,
messing up the voting process.
But if you're going to do that, you might as well just go ahead and follow through with what some people are trying to do. Is you have to have a specific card in order to vote, which last time I checked, if you have a driver's license or ID card, you don't have to have a secondary voter card in order to vote. And that's crazy.
I disagree with that because, if you got uninformed voters who end up voting your interest, then you don't care about that.
Right.
Exactly.
But if you've got uninformed voters who are voting against your interest, then you want to have a voter tax. You know what I mean? And so I disagree with having, being able to do that.
There should be something.
Well, I don't. I think that something is being born here. Yeah, I think that something is being an American and being born here and being old enough.
You can't force people to educate themselves if they either choose to do it or not. That's why schools have issues now because you can't force children to learn.
Right. No, and you also
teacher in the room. That is definitely not the case.
But hold up, but you also cannot determine if you're intelligent by taking a test.
But because we've all buying people's votes, though. You got people picking them up in vans and telling them to vote for Hillary. Don't tell them why. Just go vote for Hillary.
I mean, yeah. You also
we've been doing that ever since the country was founded.
You also have Rafael Cruz telling people that Ben Carson dropped out of the race. I mean, you're going to have some
both ways.
You're going to have some. You're going to have some folks who are going to be crooked. But if we talk
in these southern states like crazy.
But I mean, it happens everywhere.
It happens everywhere.
It happens everywhere. But you also got Republicans that want to suppress the vote to the point where, people cannot vote based upon where they live or based upon whatever kind of idea they have.
And I might be half Republican at the end of the day. I don't consider myself a Democrat anyway. But the way that it's going, I'm kind of leaning like y'all.
But
No, I mean, I'm with you on that. I mean, personally, I am a very proud independent. I have
I'm an independent
no ties to the blood or the cuz.
I started out supporting Rand Paul in the beginning.
I think
he did too.
I think Rand Paul and Bernie Sanders would be the perfect
was like on point.
The perfect connection. Hold up, ain't no hashtag with Marcus J.I. I'm getting a hit from Hakeem Evandra. He wants you to address something that you had said earlier. He mentions the 290,000 that you had mentioned about Hillary Clinton. He's asking if you're familiar with Citizens United.
Yes.
So she isn't going to support her because she takes money from the PIC lobbyists. He feels that you've contradicted your answer to that. You say what?
How did I don't understand how I contradicted myself. Because Citizens United is taking money out of politics. So why did he bring up Citizens United? Because that's what we need to do. If the prison lobbyist wasn't able to give money to Hillary, because of Citizens United, they're able to do that.
All right, I'll play the devil's advocate.
So what is he trying to say?
Shout out to my man Bubba Chuck AI. We sitting here talking about practice, not the real game, but practice. We got to get into the congressional and your local elections is the first thing to Big Rue's point. That was Hakeem's comment?
Yes.
To Hakeem's comment about Citizens United, God forbid, and I don't agree with Citizens United in its premise, but just because I do well for myself does not mean my speech is going to be impaired about who I want to support. If Donald Trump is a gazillionaire and he wants to get half of his gazillions to Hillary Clinton and half of his gazillions to the Republicans, at least he's doing it halfway. And he has the right to do that. The thing with Citizens United is it grants corporations.
Exactly.
It's not individual money. It's corporations that qualify as speech, or at least the Supreme Court said that corporations can invest money, and that's an infringement on their speech or their way of expressing themselves. So, yes, we do need to get rid of Citizens United for corporations.
And then on top of the corporations, just to add, corporations in this country, once they hit $250,000 in profits, get treated like individuals. So that means
that's changed the tax law.
I paid damn near more taxes than Facebook paid last year on their $6 billion in profits.
The argument for the right will argue and say, well, Facebook employs in Silicon Valley, even though we're only 3% of the employment, meaning black folks. But they employ hundreds of thousands of people who then stimulate the economy, and it'll trickle down to us Negroes.
Yeah, no, bro. The tax needs to be progressive. The tax rate needs to be progressive. It needs not stop because the middle class and the working class is paying more taxes.
You right
than
about that.
The top 1% of the people in this country because the tax bracket is not progressive.
But
that's not right.
As long as you have a Congress that does not support that,
yeah, of course,
you will not have that. It doesn't matter who your president is.
I tell you this.
Totally agree.
I tell you this right now.
We need to talk about how the state of Virginia has elections every year, and people don't pay attention to that. We're one of very few states in the 50 states that has an election every November in the state of Virginia. A general election every November.
And people don't show up.
And they do not show up. We're one of few states that have an election every November. Every November.
That's the problem. Is a lot of it is the apathy of the people. If you go and you look and see the amount of people that actually show up to the polls per capita, you would be embarrassed. Most folks don't pay attention to it because it don't affect them. They don't care. They just wait and watch the news coverage on Super Tuesday and all that kind of stuff. But if you really, really looked and you saw the amount of people that are registered per the census versus how many people actually show up to vote, it's embarrassing.
Think about
South Carolina
It's
had
embarrassing.
12% on Saturday.
Yeah.
12%.
That's embarrassing.
Think about 2008 and 2012 when you went to go vote. The line was out the window.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's the celebrity of Barack Obama that had a lot to do with that.
Yep.
Black folk won't gonna go out there and vote. Remember when he first started, when 2008 campaign with him and Hillary and and all those other cats, we weren't even really rocking with Obama like that. 'Cause we was like, he ain't black enough.
You know why? Because white folks said it was okay in Iowa.
Right.
And that's when black people, see, I'm glad you brought that up because that's a very, very hot button comment and situation for me. It really, really pisses me off because I remember what was going on at the time.
07, 08.
And I remember, he was going against Hillary Clinton. And I remember everybody giving me this, Hillary is going to be the next president, and everybody wanted her and all of that kind of stuff. And I remember doing my homework and looking at this, junior senator from Illinois saying, this might be the dude. And people thought I was tripping. Ain't nobody ever heard of him. And why would we vote for him? And it wasn't until the white folk in Iowa said that it was okay.
Stamp of
that
approval
the people
first.
in the rest of the country said, you know what, it might be something to this dude. And that really bugs me because it's like, yo, I had a conversation with somebody recently who's a Hillary Clinton supporter, and I mentioned to them that it's very likely that when given the choice of Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, I'm probably going to vote for Bernie Sanders. But, and this is my opinion, I have a hard time seeing Bernie Sanders winning the
nomination.
The not just the nomination, but even if he wins the nomination, winning the presidency against a lot of the folks. Let me just. But let me tell you the conversation, then we can talk about it. The conversation was, I'm going to support Bernie Sanders likely, but I don't think that he would win against the likely person coming out of the right, which is Donald Trump. And this person says to me, well, why would you vote for him if you don't think that he could win? And that really kind of bugged me because it's like,
my vote counts.
If you don't think that the person, or if you don't vote for a person, then they can't win.
Exactly.
They can't win. And that's what happened with Barack Obama. You had a lot of people that did not vote for him that wanted to.
I ain't gonna lie.
And it wasn't until the white folk in Iowa said it was okay that people said, let me go ahead and jump on this bandwagon.
It reminds Bernie's campaign early on reminds me of Barack Obama's campaign early on. It was, I need to see first, what is this buzz all about? And then if you notice, when Bernie announced, he didn't get no buzz. Then all of a sudden he started getting 10,000 people in arenas and everything. And then that's when I said, well, what is Bernie talking about? Then he started talking about everybody going to school for free and everybody getting free health care and everybody. Now, every politician is going, and that's why I say how Bernie's a politician. Politician is going to say what you need to hear to get the vote.
But he backs it up, though.
He's going to back it up.
With what?
Let me tell you my one big stink about Bernie Sanders. And don't get me wrong, he's still has my vote. The only reason why he does not have my vote is because, again, I got to vote my pocketbook and I got to vote what's best for my family and my kids. So if I'm aspirational and I want to be the next Bill Gates or the next, who's the lady that runs Essence Magazine? That lady. If I want to be a black person, aspirational person, and that happens, that's going to put me in a certain tax bracket, Bernie coming to get some of my money.
Yeah.
But see, and here's my point to that, sister, is that we all vote, just like I said, not all black people are monolithic. You're voting the way you vote and you feel politically the way you feel because you're at that stage probably in your life where you're looking to see what's going to be best for you and your future.
No, I do what I do for the generations after me. My future has already been
future,
but it has nothing to do with me at all. I'm not voting in my interest at all whatsoever. None whatsoever. I am voting in the interest of the millions of black people in this country that can't even use their own voice to get themselves out their situation. That's what I'm voting for.
Well, and that's where I'm gonna kind of not feel you on that. Because and that's your belief and that's fine, and I'm not gonna sit here and say your belief sucks.
We're not ripping Bernie. Like I said, he had so far he has my vote.
Bernie, but that's why I vote.
Well, I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm kind of with Jay. I don't think Bernie has a chance to be anybody from the Republican Party.
But there's a lot of people that think that way. And like he just said, if people don't vote for him, then what's the point? I say, he can win, but I don't think he can win.
Understand. But all these polls you say you looked at that Bernie's going to crush Republicans.
You know what? Clear politics. He's beating Trump. He's beating the Republicans. Very thin margins, but he's beating them.
He's beating them in these invisible polls that come out by somebody. But what happened was when Obama ran, the first time. All these invisible polls said Obama's going to lose. All these invisible polls against Romney said Obama's going to lose, and Obama crushed both of them.
How about the flip side of the coin is that they just did a poll that came out today that if Hillary Clinton gets the nomination, 20% of Democrats said they're going to switch to the other side.
But that's
Hillary is going to.
I will be one of those people.
Yeah, Hillary cannot get Bernie Sanders supporters.
But I say this.
But
I
Bernie
say this.
can get Hillary supporters.
But I say this. That's today.
Bruh.
But
And I'm just.
If me and her switching over,
You know what my vote counts?
real.
My vote counts in November. That's when my vote counts. Super Tuesday, yeah, I'm going to vote. And it does count for something. But realistically, your vote does not count till November.
And that's something I want to touch on.
vote
that is true.
But
I
if you
have to
don't
be.
vote in the
I have to kind of
primary-
side with him. I hear what you're saying, and
Yeah.
girlfriend,
How big
I
is the
agree with you.
nomination?
I agree with you on a lot of things. I agree with you on just about everything. But that is something that does kind of startle me because as a independent. No. I changed to be Democratic only so I could vote for Obama in the primary against Hillary. Okay, before that I was independent. But as a Democrat, I don't really often vote in the primary because I kind of already know which way it's going to go. Because just like you said, a lot of times I don't feel like my vote really matters in the primary. Now this primary, hold on, I see him jumping for the mic. Now this primary, yes, I am voting. But I'm saying a lot of people share your view. They say what we already kind of know where it's going to go. All the polls are leading this way. So my fear, and I'm speaking to some. My fear anyway is that Bernie Sanders may be a little too liberal for the general populace, and that is where I'm going to vote for Bernie, but that is where I do kind of shudder. Like, okay, are the people that are in the higher or older generations, are they going to be able to vote for somebody that is as liberal as Bernie? I don't know. So I'm hoping, just as the lady said right here, that people of our generation and the ones that are the newcomers, because there's more of us than it is of y'all. I hope we get off the Snapchat and get off the Instagram and get in the booth, or snap in IG your time in the booth and vote. Because that's when we'll see Bernie in the, for real in there. But a lot of people are not voting for the primary.
Yeah, I'm going to vote tomorrow.
I actually agree with you 100% with what you just said, Ashley. But it really upsets me because I think that people should vote every time there's an election. It shouldn't matter if it's primary. It shouldn't matter if it's a general election. It shouldn't matter if it's for Congress or Senate or any of that kind of stuff. If you are voting, you got to vote for the dog catcher if you want the right dog catcher. You got to vote for the sheriff. You got to vote, man. You got to do it. Now, there is a very real, strong thought process that says that it don't matter who you vote for because the electoral college is going to do what they want to do anyway, and some folks going to be selected president no matter what the people say. And we saw that happen in 2000. There's a lot of people who may not be old enough to remember that, but there are a lot of us who actually was a part of that. When we saw Al Gore win the general election but not become the president, the Supreme Court selected George Bush Jr. because he wasn't part of that bloodline. Hint, hint. We can talk about that too at another time. There's a bloodline that every single president that's a part of, including Barack Hussein Obama. But talk about that another time. But the truth of the matter is, you got to go. If for no other reason than not be able to be looked at the end and say, "Did you vote? No. Well, then shut the hell up." Like, do you really want somebody to tell you shut the hell up? Do you really want to be able to be the person to be told, shut the hell up? Because if you don't vote, I don't really want to talk to you. Like, I don't want to talk to you about none of this stuff. You don't get to have an opinion. Like, you really don't. So the truth of the matter is, you can vote for little Marco, or you can vote for, John Kasich, who's not that great. You can vote for Ben Carson, who might be one of the least presidential people I've ever seen in the history of running for the presidency. And you can vote for Hillary Clinton, who is not someone I'm fond of, and you can vote for the socialist Bernie Sanders, or you can vote for Donald Trump, who refuses to disavow the Ku Klux freaking Klan. You vote for any of those people you want to. But if you don't vote, shut the hell up. For real. Seriously. Shut the hell up. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. I get real passionate about this, man. And the truth of the matter is, folks just, they don't take it serious like they take it serious every 4 years. You know what I mean? And you can't just take it serious every 4 years. Like, this is some real stuff. Our lives are affected. You know what I mean? And
I do know what you mean. And there have been times, honestly, I'm from Washington, D.C. That's a very political town. Like, politics is everywhere. But I do have to admit, there have been times when I'm like, what's the point of me going to this primary? Because I already know Grandma gonna go. And D.C. is 99% Democratic. So what are we really voting for? We just wasting time, you know? But there have been times that I have voted on the flip side where I wrote my own name in down. And I'll just do that just off the respect of my ancestors who died for us to vote.
That's ballsy.
I've written my name down several times. At first,
don't you got to get a special ballot?
No,
you can write in.
Hey,
look, Gary Coleman ran for president.
We vote electronically now, so not with the electronic pen.
And
you type in your name.
Gary Coleman ran for president. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. Hakeem says, Grizz, you might be on to something. In the fantasy world, Bernie would be the man, but not in the real world.
Right. I mean, Bernie, look, he's right. In a fantasy world, Bernie would win all the states on Super Tuesday, but again, it's up to the people, which he always claims. This is the people power movement. It's up for the people to decide. I mean,
it's these slave states. They got Stockholm syndrome.
The South is.
I love that. Yeah,
the South is a little, not with it at times, but I mean, you can't win the presidency without the South.
But they got Stockholm syndrome. I'm sorry.
You gotta carry the South. The only time I think that the South was not carried was Lincoln, and that was 155 years ago.
Right.
If you win the South, you pretty much win the presidency.
Right.
My point is that we just got to go out here and do our due diligence. Whether you're an intelligent voter or how Trump says he loves the unintelligent voter, that's why he's winning.
But that says a whole lot about him.
I know it says a whole lot about him, but that's why he's winning. He's telling the dummies out here that even if you're dumb, I want your vote.
Yeah.
And that's what we can't sit down and look. The good thing about what Republicans do, and I'm not saying it is a good thing, I approve it, but what the Republicans do is that they know how to speak exactly to their base to get them riled up.
Yes,
when the Blues or the Crips is when the Democrats do it,
blood of cuz,
we're so diverse. We can't come out with one saying other than what was Obama's thing in 08.
Yes, you can.
Yes, we can. And Bernie has got something similar to that now.
That's a political revolution.
Yeah, he's got something similar to that theme, and I feel he's getting the momentum, but it's that money thing that is really cutting him off.
He's raising more money than anybody has.
But I mean, he's raising it on the website. I stand corrected. It's not the money; it's the power behind the money that's getting Bernie the bad rap.
And honestly, all five of them, because really there are only five people running, have pluses and minuses. Mm-hmm. With Bernie, his minus to me, man, I look at him, I don't know if he can do 4.
That's a big deal.
Which bothers me.
I think that too.
Hold on. I'm going to tell you why that bothers me.
I'm not worried about age because we had Reagan for 8 years.
But it's not that.
He was an old turkey.
Hold on, let him make this point.
It's not that.
I actually
what
agree
bothers me is he looks like he ain't going to make it. Exactly. And what bothers me, but see, the question behind that is, who's going to be his vice president?
His vice president will be Elizabeth Warren.
I like Martin O'Malley. I ain't going to lie. Martin O'Malley was sweet.
Martin O'Malley.
Thank you. Right here, high five, Jess.
And when, correct? And how many presidents picked the vice president that we really want?
Not too many.
I did. I'm glad you brought that up, man, because I love Martin O'Malley, and
Yes, Martin O'Malley, yes.
I also am very concerned because of Bernie Sanders' age. He's 73 or 74 years old.
Was y'all concerned about Reagan?
Yeah, we were.
I wasn't
because-
alive
How old
then.
Nelson
caught a
Mandela
bullet.
was.
But it's not that.
I was old enough to remember.
Yeah.
I was old enough to remember Ronald Reagan, and I remember
Yeah, he
when
looked like he was about
and
to
I
go,
remember
too.
when he got shot. And in 1980, when he was elected president, he was 68 years old.
Mhm.
And when he was elected to his second term, he was 72. And we know now, in hindsight, that most of the second
Yeah,
term,
he was a little lucid.
he had
Yeah.
Alzheimer's.
But
He was-
who's the youngest person? Like, because Hillary is what, 70 her dang self.
She's 70 this year.
Exactly.
No,
But
I got
Hillary
you.
But nobody
doesn't-
hears
I know,
about the
What he is
ageism
saying
with
is
Hillary.
actually very
She a
true
woman.
because
Hillary doesn't look like she's going to die tomorrow. Bernie
what
Sanders.
he's saying is
Like a
100%
No,
true.
no, that's your personal beef. Bernie Sanders
No, he looks
looks like he might go tomorrow,
No,
and that bothers me.
No,
All right, let me say this.
I think that's a
And
fair
that's
point, though.
Not only is that
He's-
what you're saying, there have been studies on that. When for the first televised presidential debate between Nixon and JFK, all the
look old.
time all the time on the radio,
1960.
Nixon was to win. But when it finally
Put him
came
on
on
TV and they showed
television,
him.
everybody went to JFK. And let's fast forward years, even when McCain was running.
Yep.
Yeah, he looked like
And
old.
McCain had the
Limp.
arm that wouldn't raise. This is supposed to be a war hero. But just because he couldn't raise his
We
arm
out here
up all the
talking
way and it
about
hung here like
practice.
a little dinosaur, people are sitting here thinking, I don't want him to be president.
Yeah, and
can't
Bernie's
even-
suit
are
looks bigger
saying
than
it's
can't
not
him.
even press the
necessarily
button
that you
with
have
that
to agree
nub.
with what he's saying, but it is
The age
true that
does
that's
not-
all the American
that's-
And
people.
Bernie's
I know
suit
that-
looks bigger than him.
Yeah, but
Hillary
No,
is
you
just-
the age doesn't bother me, and here's why.
Hillary got
In
too much
order
Botox.
to catch a flight from Concord, New Hampshire to Iowa City, Iowa, back and forth to all of, you got to have some type of energy level, and he's doing it. So I mean, the age thing doesn't have.
He's
doesn't
doing
bother
it.
me.
To New Hampshire
He's
6
doing
o'clock
it
in the morning.
now.
I got you on Bernie. I think the point about being concerned, whether you are very concerned or you're not concerned, I think you'd be unwise to not be concerned at all at any person in their 70s that is ascending to the potential role of president of the United States. And I also think, and this is some real stuff right here, when you look at the people who are most likely to become president, I don't think anybody thinks John Kasich is going to be the president. I'm pretty sure nobody thinks Rafael Cruz is going to be the president, and Marco Rubio. I don't think they're going to be
Nobody
president.
on the right.
Marco Rubio and Rafael are in their 40s. Kasich, I believe, is in his 50s or 60s. But Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, and Bernie Sanders, one of the three of them is going to be. This is my personal opinion. I could be wrong. I'm usually wrong. But I stayed at a Holiday Inn once. But one of the three of them is very likely to be the president. And all of the three of them at this time next year are going to be 70. That's concerning to me.
Yeah.
One. And two, damn, I got three fingers up and I said two. I did a bruh man just now. And two, and two, I think the fact that there's no young leadership on the left is very disturbing.
Malley's in his 50s.
Yeah, 50s.
That's okay. I'm running for Senate in Virginia in 2018.
Not
State Senate?
not 20s,
yes.
not 30s.
16th
President
district.
Barack Hussein Obama turned 50 in the White House. So we got to think about that, and we got to think about the fact that everybody who wishes that Joe Biden would have run, if he would have run,
He's a racist. Biden is a racist too.
I totally disagree with that, but we don't have time to
That's crazy.
delve into it. But the fact that he didn't run is the reason why we're having these conversations.
Yep.
Because if he had run,
He's 73, right?